and it should be streaming now. This is going to be my first real kind of test of myself. Yep, got it working. Should be no feedback. I'm going to close the window just in case, because last time I did broadcast, it was weird. It was like a really crazy echo, and I think it was because I had the YouTube dashboard up that was maybe playing the broadcast while I was like picking it up over the microphone. So I don't know. It was weird. Just glad. Hopefully everything's sounding good. I didn't really sound test it because it's hard to sound test myself. But yeah. So this stream I want to dedicate to the Yellow Vest protest. I didn't even realize it rhymed. Because it's really not being talked about in the news at all. I mean, I guess I sound like Chicken Little when bringing it up, because I figure most people are doing their own thing. But I do think it's very important to realize what's going on in France, because it has a lot of ramifications for the rest of the world. But the big reason is I'm getting into this. Later on this week, I'm going to be dropping. I'm saying that like a rapper. I'm going to be releasing a video on the political spectrum. I've been working on like a bit of a PowerPoint presentation, so I'm just going to go slide by slide, talk about what the left means, what the right means, what liberal, conservative, what it means to me, because I mean I don't want to sound too like chiding or like sounding like a teacher or something, but more I'm starting a channel and I just kind of want to have for further reference like what I mean when I say the left, the right, you know, socialist, what a socialist means, what a libertarian means, a whole bunch of things that's just off the top of my head. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure how I'm even gonna finish it yet. So maybe next weekend I'll release that. And it looks like I might have a friend on Tuesday to talk about censorship. So we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, so we'll just get into it. I pulled up an article from Al Jazeera, which was it was hard to find an article about it. And Al Jazeera, for anyone who doesn't know, before I get into it, I pulled this up on Wikipedia. You know, here it is. Al Jazeera is the island on the Arabian Peninsula, and it is state-funded broadcast from Qatar. So anyone who doesn't know what Qatar is, it's just a very rich place for the Middle East. Very rich region, which is kind of how they structure things out there. There's a few places where the rich play, and then everywhere else is like, you know, rural, where I don't know. I don't want to say any broad accusations of those worlds, because I know there's a great middle class there somewhere. I feel like I just built that up to sound really provocative, but anyway, I just want to say what the source was in Al Jazeera for anyone who doesn't know, because sometimes people are very speculative of Al Jazeera because it can have a anti-Western agenda, which is ironic why I'm choosing to use it, because they aren't. Most of the Western media isn't reporting on it. Aside from the people that I follow on Twitter, which is why this seemed much more pressing to me than maybe others. And so the wave of protests sweeping through France is not a rejection of green policies, it's a revolt against the 1%. Yeah, that's very true. For the past 3 weeks, France has been experiencing one of the most significant social mobilizations in recent history, which laid bare the country's social ills, anti-elite sentiment, growing inequalities, and thirst for social justice. Sounds very reminiscent of a lot of maybe nuanced issues happening here in the United States. It all started on November 17th, when tens of thousands of people looked to the streets across the country to protest against rising fuel prices. That's what everyone says it's about. The protesters, dubbed Les Gilets Jaunes, I don't know, yeah, the Yellow Vests. I think I said that right in French. I'm not... pronunciation at least. After the high visibility jackets they adopted as a symbol of their complaint blocked roundabouts, burned effigies, and clashed with the police. Interesting. They were angry about the almost 20% increase in the price of diesel since the start of the year, as well as the planned fuel tax hike President, quote-unquote, Emmanuel Macron had recently announced, a man who I think he had proclaimed he saw himself as Jupiter. I believe, original name for the Greek gods. Or no, Jupiter was what the Romans changed Zeus to, Jupiter. So it's the Roman version of the Greek Zeus god. So anyone who thinks of him in that way, I scratch my head about. While Macron said the tax was necessary to protect the environment and combat climate change, it's a great scapegoat. Whether or not it's true, it's a hilarious scapegoat for people who don't believe in it. And combat climate change, protesters claim the decision was yet another sign that the arrogant and privileged president is out of touch with the regular folk and the people who are struggling to make ends meet. Yeah. The intensity of the protest quickly forced the government to take a U-turn and first suspend and permanently shelve its plans for fuel tax increases. However, the protest movement was not only about fuel prices. It encompassed the wider anger and frustration against the political establishment in general, and President Macron in particular. As a result, the government's decision to abandon fuel tax hikes failed to calm tensions. I mean, this guy literally doesn't understand what's going on in his country. I think this man is so in his kind of elitist bubble that, it's not even arrogance or, what would they say? Arrogant privilege. Privilege for sure. I don't even know if he realizes how arrogant he's being just because he doesn't probably have a point of reference that is, I gotta put my phone on do not disturb. He doesn't have a point of reference that is within the people at all. I mean, from what I understand of this guy, he's been like silver spoon all the way. And he married a woman that's, I don't remember, I'd have to look it up, like 20 years his elder, maybe not 20, like at least 10, maybe 10, 15. Every time I look it up, it's always more than I thought. That's why 20, I thought I'd hit on the dot, but like 10, it's probably like 12. But still, 12, and also at his age, it's interesting move. She was also his like high school teacher or college teacher or like tutor or something. She like used to teach him, and then like once he got old enough, he like married her. Just a really weird scenario all around. So it's probably more than 12 years because she was his teacher. I don't know. Anyway, that's who Macron is. He's a weird guy, for sure. If you don't believe me, you think that's just opinion, you can look up just his interactions with Trump, his interactions with the Saudi crown prince, this guy, and then he's in love with Merkel. Merkel and him are like they're chums. They really love each other. It's hilarious to see. So let's get back to it. The Yellow Vests want further concessions from the government. Their demands include a redistribution of wealth as well as the increase of salaries, pensions, social security payments, and the minimum wage. Some say they will not settle for anything less than the president's resignation, which I believe is the most likely thing. His approval rate is already sub 20. I mean, you get to 0% approval rating. That's resignation is the only other thing, unless you're willing to go to the guillotines, which apparently the French are the ones who invented the guillotine. So, actually, I'm gonna start a hashtag guillotines for the globalist. We'll see. I'll write that down. I'll remember to do that later. But guillotines for the globalists. They're these really rich people. When I say globalist, I'll address in the political spectrum thing. It's the really rich people. It's because you can't be a middle class globalist. I mean, maybe like in theory, like owning property in another country gives you like the freedom to vacation there. But I'm talking the people who are so rich that they have skin in both countries. And they can literally just inside trade. It's just they're just it's all just a shell game of their money because they're investing in both sides. That whatever the direction things go, there's a ton of people just making money like that, and that's what people talk about when they talk about like the deep state and stuff like that. It's like these people already just they own. Well, I'm going really deep into it. It's kind of more on the military industrial side, which is a lot of stuff that's getting shown through this, is people are getting frustrated with how much money countries are spending on wars outside of their lands. It's just showing the fact that there is outside corporate interests in different countries. Afghanistan being one of the obvious ones, Iraq, obvious. But they were like agreed upon for a while. And now the world is just kind of saying everyone needs to stop because the Chinese are doing it too. Chinese are doing it big time. Like no one's even talking about it. The Chinese are starting to beat us every now and then, whether it's infrastructure or their diplomats. Like we don't have enough diplomats to go out to all the countries. The Chinese have diplomats at like every embassy around the world, from what I've heard. I obviously haven't walked into embassies all over the world, but That's what I've been told. Not been told. This isn't like some inside job. I keep wanting to sound like I'm on The Sopranos or something, which is a show I've never watched, but the references are obvious to other like gangster style tactics. Like while I talk about them, I feel the need to talk like them. It's odd. So that when I say globalist, that's what I mean by Macron. The people have so much money and influence that to them countries don't even mean anything. It's just the people they know, the other rich people they're going to be hanging out with and whatever, which just makes sense to me. I can understand how you could get so you dehumanize yourself from like the rest of the people you stand for. I would assume you just become like you become the president, the king, the Jupiter thing he said about himself. He must think he is that good. So I really haven't getting into this. Misleading the electorate. 40-year-old Macron was elected last year on pledges to change the face of French politics, create more jobs, improve lives. On the eve of 2017 election, French voters were tired of career politicians. They wanted a different kind of leader. Sounds a lot like Trump. Someone who can understand their long-rooted social and economic concerns and deliver real and practical results. For the past 4 decades, French people have been worried about the erosion of social protections in their country since François Mitterrand, I don't know, I'm just winging that one, socialist government controversially decided to impose austerity policies in 1983, which I don't know much about French politics, but that's interesting. Successive governments have taken slow but consistent steps to dismantle the French welfare state. Interesting why they'd want someone like Macron in. All this gradually accentuated the economic concerns of the French middle and working classes and led them to be more and more suspicious of all mainstream politicians on the right and left. They came to believe that the political and elite protects the interests of the wealthy and does not care about the well-being of the ordinary citizens. And this right here, this right and left part, is the big thing. This is why the mainstream isn't talking about it. And the right, I'll say the conservative right, and I'm sure there's other people, maybe more moderates, who are trying to talk about this, because this is a very unifying thing. This is a good thing. If the mainstream ever gets a hold of this, they're going to say this is bad, and they're probably going to say this is nationalists, right-wing people, and that's fine. Yeah, that's the case, because there are right-wing people, but there's also left-wingers. They're saying that the people who voted socialist, they wanted to be more socialist, are going against Macron because they realize that he's not a socialist. I mean, if that's truly your goal, whether you like socialism or not, he's not a socialist. He's a capitalist by definition. He's all about consolidating all power and redistributing through the EU. And I mean, I guess that's technically socialism, but it's more like some weird. It takes me in a dangerous direction when things get, because and that's the other thing is I'm about to show some footage. I pulled it up here of what's actually going on in France. So this is kind of the build up. I'm just providing a little bit of insight as to what's going on in print media to explain. You know, they're trying to paint a picture too. I'm just trying to make it so you get through the article quickly. Yeah, he's on top of making controversial policy decisions that favored powerful corporations and rich individuals. Macron also repeatedly demonstrated his unfamiliarity with and at times disdain for ordinary people struggling to survive in the country's increasingly harsh economic environment. In 2016, while he was the Minister of Economy, for example, Macron was confronted by angry trade unionists and was recorded telling one young man, "You don't scare me with your t-shirt. The best way of paying for a suit is to work." I mean, I don't disagree with him, but I don't think he knows what that means. I think Macron is just one of those people. He's, I don't know, I was going to say puppet. I mean, he's kind of a puppet, but he's also kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothing in the fact that he's like going to talk about capitalist values from a guy who's pushing a socialist agenda, who, quite frankly, I think is just looking for power and talking out of both sides of his mouth. So I think this is all hilarious, and I hope that the people of France are getting what's best for them in the end, because when the right and left come together and understand, it's like, you know, this guy, we both agree this guy is not our guy, and I, quite frankly, I'll just say I'm leaning towards Trump right now. I'll get that in further videos. I said something about the self-fulfilling prophecy of MAGA, and so if that ever ends up being something worth talking about, I'll bring it up. But most of the people I talk to are actually either open to Trump or Trump supporters as well. Thing is, it's not really something you can talk about that out in the open, and I don't mind doing it out in the open at all. So, yeah, I think it's a good place to have a quiet discussion about why we like Trump. And I didn't even like Trump until maybe this year. The first year of his presidency, I was just kind of like, well, we'll see what this guy does. And all I know is in the amount of time this year has happened, I've moved to Chicago and got a job I never thought I would have. So objectively speaking, how it's affected my life is I'm on the upward projection in life. So I can't complain as far as that's concerned with this presidency. As far as everything else, I just see a lot of politicians shifting hands. They tried to make this. I mean, Kavanaugh was actually big, and I talked about that. But I don't know why I'm getting so retrospective. This is why I need someone on the broadcast to keep me hemmed in. But oh yeah, and I don't have the dashboard up anymore, so I don't even know if anyone's trying to chat with me. Maybe that's for the better right now, because I just want to get through this real quick. Macron is just not a guy. Rejecting climate change action. Yeah, that's another thing they're trying to say is that the yellow vests are rejecting climate change because they don't want to pay for how expensive it is, and that is true. France is not doing well economically. As a country, they're struggling, and innovation into new climate change solutions through subsidies can really destroy your country, which is one thing that Trump understands. And I think I would suspect. I don't know if Trump cares. Honestly, he probably understands that he's got a foot in the grave. But the thing is, I think deregulation is the most important thing, and that's what the one thing Trump's trying to do before he goes is he's trying to get America punching up instead of punching down, as far as what they're doing on the global market. And I think that he's really getting us going in that direction. And climate change definitely slows down countries. Climate change prevention. It's definitely good for the world as in the long term, and I think it's more attacking the corporations than it is the countries. So I'll digress from that as well. I just gotta think like someone else is there. So this is actually gonna be a test because I've never played a YouTube video while I'm streaming. So when I go back and listen to this will be interesting. That's coming in really loud. So I don't know. I mean, people are freaking out over Charlottesville. Like, this is worse than Charlottesville, and no one's paying attention, which is what I find hilarious. They're like, oh, we're all Kavanaugh'd out. We can't. Christmas is coming. We can't pay attention to this. Gotta love it. There's some speculation as to who the yellow vests are. Are they nationalists on the right? Are they Antifa, God forbid, on the left? Oh, this is the guy's introduction. Oh, at least so short. This is his plug. Alright, he's wearechange.org if you're interested. Yeah. Can't believe I'm doing a reaction video. I've seen this already, by the way, so if I seem a little numb, I've already seen it, I think twice. 3. No, this is my 3rd time. Yeah, I saw it twice. Because I posted this on Facebook, I think, but nobody liked it. Go figure. This is very inconvenient to watch, I know. Like... Jeez. Sounds like The Patriot or something. These, like, we're watching, like, you know, you've read about the French Revolution where they had the guillotines the first time. This is like it again. Except they don't have guillotines, they just have black bags they stuff you and never see you again. That's... Can't imagine being hit by a rubber bullet. That would... Oh my god, that feel like it hurt. Yeah, I'm not trying to play that. That's crazy. This dude has more graphic stuff. That he's only showing us the stuff he thinks we're capable of watching. That's messed up. Look at those firefighters, man. They look like astronauts. That's what happens when the EU gets involved. They look like stormtroopers. This is the First Order right there. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's arms dealers there right now trying to arm people. Like, I'll put it this way. I'm not an arms dealer, but if I was an arms dealer, I'm definitely booking a flight to, like, Morocco. Libya, like, yeah. London. They look like they're just a bunch of pissed off people. I want to change their country. Like, they don't look like left or right. I can't tell. Doesn't matter. Just a bunch of pissed off French folk. Oh yeah, I heard about that. I think he posted a video. That they're just grabbing random people. That's just creepy. Like, they see the mask, and like I saw a video earlier. They just take you away. No. Maybe this is in the video, I don't remember. I watched it earlier. I watched a few, actually. I'm sure. Yeah, the press is right there. Which, anyone who's seen the movie Nightcrawler, this is where you should be. That's a weird movie. Yeah, Nightcrawler. Holy shit. Jake Gyllenhaal. I love it. That's ridiculous. Like, this is too amazing not to be reporting, and they're choosing not to report it. Instead, I saw something about Beyonce at some Indian wedding. Football was good today. Go figure, it was a miracle against the Patriots. If you ever wanted the Patriots to lose miraculously, it should be right now. I'm not saying that was planned. I don't even know how you could plan that, but... They're surrounding their mainstream media because they know it's lies. That's hilarious. Yeah. I didn't watch this one earlier. Never mind. I hope you guys can hear this. So there you go. It's not just me. Like, they're warning us. They're telling us, like, you have people like Macron in your country. Like the Clintons. Like... Clintons for one. I'll start there. I don't know anybody else for sure, but I know Hillary Clinton's a globalist. Like the Berlin Wall. I don't know. Maybe. Jeez. There's the Arc de Triomphe right there in the background. I think this is the media studio. Yep, cinema. Yeah, so something cinema. Retribution is never the answer, but it's a good motivation. Burning Christmas tree. Jeez Louise. Oh, and I got this playing on 2 screens too, so if you see my eyes darting, sometimes it just gets shaky. Good for the French. Good for the French. They're done with their leaders. And this is from yesterday, I'm pretty sure. Let me double check here. Because, the 9th. No, this is from today. I don't know what time today, but this is probably recorded yesterday because the news I heard from today is that these protests are also spreading to further parts of Europe. A journalist? Oh, it was a mainstream journalist was trying to report and they kicked him in the buttocks. That's hilarious. Good for them. What? That's too convenient. I don't. Well, yeah, I would say it probably is the same motivation as Donald Trump. This is the same social movement. I don't think Trump's. He's under enough fire. He can't be doing this too. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, so this is his little wrap up. So that is pretty crazy. I didn't watch that one. I forgot when I got these videos loaded. I made sure I picked one I hadn't seen, and then when I started watching it, it seemed familiar because there was some footage I had seen earlier. But I had seen earlier too in a different video that the soldiers, the guys in this video, like the riot gear people, were definitely from the state of France, the Macron bodyguards, if you want to look at it that way. They had their battle line, and like 5 to 10 of them, I don't know, just went out and grabbed one person, pulled them back to their lines. Gone. And the other video I posted earlier actually showed that like all the protesters showed up at the Arc de Triomphe. I don't know. I don't know the geography of the area, but I assume that's like a square. And then apparently they went to all the street corners and they just blocked them off. And like the people were trying to leave, like because they like got there in the morning on Saturday. And then I think through the day, they're like ready to go home. And in that amount of time, the police had blocked off all the streets. That was what they were reporting in the video, at least. It was the We Are Change account. So, I mean, obviously take everything with a grain of salt. But from what I see, this is, at the very least, incredible theatrics if this is something Donald Trump is trying to fund or something, or if this is George Soros or something. You know, whatever conspiracy tinfoil hat you're on, this is at least like Infinity War quality theatrics. So can't wait to see what's happening on next episode of Reality Earth, Governments on Fire edition. But this has been fun. So I guess I might as well pull up that I don't even think I have it anymore. The YouTube dashboard video, or I don't even know if I know how to pull it up. Oh, We Are Change is actually live right now too, so I'm missing out on content. They're streaming at the moment, so that's the other thing. Is it's like I found out people are live streaming all the time on YouTube. If you're following the right stuff, you can be following exactly what's going on in government. Generally, it's better to have people who are there we go. So someone's been watching. The audio does come through, but the video... Oh, shoot. I should probably turn the sound off. The audio does not come through, but the video is there nicely. Thank you for this. I need to look at this for myself. Yeah, so I guess the video wasn't coming through, or the audio wasn't coming through, so maybe I should have been talking through the whole thing, but... yeah, at least you could just kind of silent movie it with me for a minute there. I'll have to figure that out. It's really weird doing the digital side of things here. You have to capture certain windows and stuff. It was fun to learn. And then figuring out how to have one window in particular where you can see what I'm doing, because I'm doing stuff in other windows here. Yeah, this has been fun. Gonna wrap it up. I didn't really hear much else. Actually, I closed that window. Sorry, whoever that was, but I'm trying to keep these shorter, so I'm just gonna do half an hour, 8:34, and open this up. Like I said, Tuesday I plan on talking about censorship with a friend of mine. She's been banned off Facebook several times for being a shit poster. And I'll let her say, that's a good segue. I'll start off by asking her, what is a shit poster, and does she agree that I think she is a shit poster? Because I would assume she'd probably bear that mantle, but we'll see what happens. I don't know what time. Probably the same time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, which is crazy to say for me to like be in a different time zone from the people I'm normally talking this about. So it's been fun, and yeah, hope to have someone on next time. And I would imagine the following Sunday I should have Sean on. I think he was working this evening, so he couldn't be with us today. All right, everyone, peace, and make sure you're thinking, not letting people think for you.